Hello, everybody. Rick Berube here again for this Facebook Live. We did not do this last week because I was in Arizona, and we had some wonderful time. We had great success series there, and also we even played a little golf. Okay, which was a great time. We're going to do that in California very shortly, and again in Nevada. So watch for the social media posting and all that good stuff. You'll see when that's going to happen. But today, we are very fortunate. And while I was in Arizona last week, I asked this gentleman, number one in the Kierland office, individual agent, Mr. Eric Heil. Eric, welcome to the show, my man.
It's Smile, Heil.
Heil, I'm sorry, Heil. I get Heil on the mind. Heil,
That's all right.
Eric Heil. Sorry, Eric.
It's all right. No big deal. When someone says that, I say it's not heel, it's pronounced toe.
We just went over it too, and I still said it wrong.
It's all right.
Well,
No worries. I'll answer to it.
yeah, it's like my name. People call me Berube all the time. It's actually Berube. I go, yep, that's me. So anyway, sorry, buddy.
No worries.
I got it. Now I got it. All right. Now listen. So let's get into this. Get right into it, my man. Well, before we do this, I think you should tell them what you did before real estate because I think it's very interesting what you
Okay.
did. Give them an idea of what you used to do. I think it's cool.
Okay. Well, right after I got out of prison, I just kidding. Haven't been to prison. I graduated from University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri, and my first job was working for Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, and I um, worked for them out in Indianapolis, Indiana, and for about 2.5 years did marketing. And they basically split up the marketing when you're in the field and on-premise versus off-premise. So it's simply put this way: on-premise marketing is where you go to the bars and it's people drinking on the premises. You buy your alcohol and you drink it there. And then off-premise, they split that up amongst other people that handled grocery stores, convenience stores, stuff like that. So you'd buy it and you'd bring it home and drink it or go somewhere else. And so I handled the on-premise accounts in Indianapolis for the what they called the young contemporary adult segment. So basically 21 to 30 year olds. And you went in, I had about 40 to 50 bars and had some people under me working, and we'd go in and basically meet with the bar owners and staff, bring in swag, t-shirts, coasters, neon signs, stuff like that, and decorate the bars during the day. And then the evening, you'd come in and do promotional activities. So you run promotions with the patrons, make it fun, give away, again, t-shirts and little, what we call trinkets of trash, beer openers, stuff like that. And it was a really fun job. Did that for 2.5 years. And then a spot opened up at the corporate office in the sports marketing department. And I went in and interviewed for that and secured that job and moved back to St. Louis, which was my hometown, and worked on several sports properties from Major League Soccer, Professional Bull Riders, which is PBR, was sponsored by Bud Light, NHRA. I did a lot of the sports properties. It's motorsports properties like NHRA, and NASCAR was my big property. So I managed the NASCAR program. And at that time, Winston, the cigarette company, RJ Reynolds, was the namesake sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series. And then we had what we call one of our lower tier beer brands, Busch, was the namesake sponsor of the feeder series. It was the Busch Grand National Series. And so in NASCAR, the drivers kind of started off on that lower level. And then as they progressed and they were able to secure a spot with funding and driving ability, they'd go to the Winston Cup Series. And that was the big drivers like Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt. A lot of people are familiar with some of the bigger names in NASCAR. So that was kind of my life for over 5 years. I ran that program with those drivers, and namely with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. We sponsored Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car in the Winston Cup Series. It was a Budweiser, car in that series. And so I managed their appearances, on-track appearances, and off-track appearances, and manage our contracts with Budweiser as the official beer for NASCAR, and then also our namesake sponsorship of the car for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, DEI. And so I did that worked for Budweiser for about nine years, and then there was a company that did the marketing, all the T-shirts, the little die-cast cars. They produced all the products basically for the top drivers in NASCAR. It's called Action Performance, and they had a spot that opened up out here. They had their corporate office in Tempe, and interviewed for that job and got it and moved out here in 2003 and worked for Action Performance for a year and a half. And at that point, NASCAR was looking to buy them. They wanted to own the rights to all the drivers and sell all that swag. They wanted to have an ownership in it, and they didn't have a piece of that pie. And they ended up buying that company, and then the company here shut down. And so I knew the writing was on the wall, so I put my 2 weeks in before that all happened. And they gave me a choice in that job. They gave me a choice. I could move to North Carolina and Charlotte, or I could go to Daytona Beach, Florida, and work out of the offices there. And I chose to stay here. I love the weather, and I loved Arizona, and decided I loved homes. And I rented a home back in St. Louis and was a landlord for a while, and thought, hey, I'm just going to get my real estate license and see if I can try this out. And in March of 2005, I got my real estate license. So I've been in real estate for over 16 years now, and started working for Coldwell Banker, worked for them for about 9 or 10 years, and then came over to Berkshire Hathaway, and I've been with Berkshire for about 6 years now.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, awesome. Awesome. Michelle's saying that your office is known as the museum. Is that correct?
Well, I don't have room in my house to put all the photos up, all the NASCAR stuff up, so they are on the wall in my office.
No,
So
I love
yeah,
it.
so
I think it
all
was cool.
four, yeah, all four walls of the office have photos of me and the drivers and stuff like that. Just stuff that I didn't want to stick in the garage that would probably get ruined in 110-degree heat. So I just put it in the office here. So yeah,
That's awesome.
if we move offices, it's going to be a long haul to take all this stuff down and put it back up in the new office if I have an office at the new office.
Yeah, awesome. No, it's great. I love it. That's why I was walking around there looking at it, admiring it myself, especially with all those familiar faces, that you get to know because of their driving,
Sure.
NASCAR racing, which is cool. And
Yeah.
it's a huge sport today. I mean, people go crazy over that because we have
Oh
the
yeah.
track here in Vegas. When I was back in New England, we had the Loudon track, and people go crazy
Good.
over that. It's like one of the biggest
Oh,
sports on the planet right now.
it is. And back when I was doing it, the drivers were really very accessible, where you didn't have that accessibility with the other, big sporting companies such as NFL and NBA and NHL. They just didn't have the players or the drivers, that they didn't have those celebrities or those sports celebrities that accessible. And NASCAR made it very accessible for, if you're going to the race, you can go to autograph session, and they made it pretty accessible. People would go into the garage where the cars would pull in. They'd work on the cars, and over time, because it became so popular, they started limiting the access to those areas to some degree. And now it's probably not as accessible, but it's still a very cool sport to go and get as close as you can there in those races. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. Well, that is a great, and that was a lot of prospecting back then too. Going out to places and selling your swag, and having people
Oh
come.
yeah.
You're used to prospecting and talking to people and conversing, which is obviously very helpful for your new endeavor. And you explained how real estate became attractive to you. I figured, well, I can probably do this, especially where you're located. I mean, you're right, the weather, everything's incredible. So tell us a little about your journey in real estate. I mean, I know you're number one individual agent in an office right now, and I want to talk about that as well. And I know that you do, the upper end too. So tell me a little bit about maybe the last couple of years, how you've been doing, and also a little bit about how you do your business, please.
Okay, sure. Well, my the biggest thing for me, I think, in this business, in terms of getting yourself out there and meeting people, is first and foremost open houses. I really put a lot of effort in trying to do open houses. So if I have a listing, I'm there, especially at the beginning, right when it goes on. You want to hold it open Saturday and Sunday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even if it's for a couple hours. I usually do mine for 4 to 5 hours. So I bring my computer, get it set up. I've had, before COVID, market wasn't moving as quickly as it is now, and all over, it was kind of a little bit stagnant. And I've been seeing the ups and downs. When I started in this business in 2005, the market was going crazy, and as you know, in 2007, 2008, it crashed. I mean, it went down quickly, and Nevada felt that, California, Florida, Arizona. I think we were the top four. We really felt the pain, and pricing dropped as much as 50, 60% in a lot of areas. So I kind of switched my business then to doing a ton of open houses. I did a lot of short sales. I did some bank-owned properties, and just changed the map of the landscape of my business to kind of adjust. because so many homes were, in the dumper then. And I really found at that point that doing the open houses, meeting people, it was a great source of business for me. I could pick up people in terms of, buyers that maybe weren't represented, or even sell the product that I was in, whatever home I had at that time listed. Sometimes people would come in, they'd buy those homes right from you, and you double side them. So it wasn't always just a double sided and meet people. I mean, you're doing a service to your client too with the exposure that you're doing an open house and getting people through it. So you got to keep that, first and foremost. But as an adjunct to it, certainly picking up people, picking up prospective buyers or sellers during an open house is key. I've had people call me, 2 or 3 years after they've come in an open house. They might have been in here on vacation. They might be from the Northeast or the Midwest or the upper northern states where it's cold, and they come in during the winter time just to get out of the freezing cold temperatures, and they're here for a week. And they're like, hey, this is a place that we want to retire. Let's take a Sunday or whatever during the week, come out and look at some open houses. And you meet them, you give them your card, start a rapport with them, and you never know. I've had people call me 2 years later and say, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I was here, a few years back looking at homes, and now we're ready to buy. And so it's been a great source of business for me. I know some agents don't like to do open houses at all. I think it's to each their own, but I've felt a lot of success in doing open houses. So that's probably the first thing that I've done that I think is probably the most important in my business is open houses. And then secondly, kind of know your areas. I live and work in the Kierland area, and that's where our office is. So I really, in my mind, I just have this imaginary bubble around Kierland and try to focus on that area. Not just because it's close, but I live in the area. You should know the inventory in the area that you work. I mean, I sell on the west side. I've sold in Peoria this year. I've sold 2 homes in Peoria. I've sold out in Gilbert and Mesa, North Scottsdale. I mean, far north Scottsdale. Scottsdale's a very large area. I try not to go too far out, but if I got someone that's interested, I sold one in New River this year. Beautiful home in New River, a mountaintop home, beautiful views for a buyer. And sometimes those areas morph into a purchase. They might start out in Kierland or in Scottsdale, Cinder Scottsdale, and then as the buyer finds more value going further out, more house for their money, they tend to kind of switch their search, and they go further out, and you still work with them, and you do everything you can to find them the right place. So I think know your area, work in an area where it's comfortable for you, but know the inventory. Go on these tours in those areas so you can see the inventory when something comes on. You could have a client that might send you a listing, say, hey, I found this, and you could say, hey, last week I was on a tour and that was on there, and here's the great things about the house, and here's something you may need to be aware of, that type of thing. So know the inventory. It makes you look great, and it'll help you in your business. And I think the third thing is, for me, is listen to your buyers and sellers. Have your ears open and be quiet when they're telling you something, and try to get a feel for what they're really looking for and what's important to them. From a listing standpoint, sales standpoint, some people don't want to do open houses. They don't want random people coming through their home. Some people do. Some people are okay with their home being on a lockbox and other agents showing it, and other clients want you to be there each time and take them through the home. So know your client and listen to them. I think that's very important.
I think so too. Yeah, and those are awesome points. And also, I think that what you're basically saying is that the Kierland area is your home base, but the surrounding communities, and you can go into MLS and you can help them. But you want to stay and handle your home base, like maybe for your farming area or your home, your home court, basically, which is great. But you said something that really sparked my. I'm thinking, okay, so you've been doing this since 2005, so you immediately jumped in to extremely hot market, and within 2 years, it went from the ceiling to the basement, right? Mm-hmm. But since we've been out of that basement, which is very good for your education process as far as how to do real estate in both markets, but you've also seen how Scottsdale especially has become one of the most popular places in the country to live. People are coming from all over the place, aren't they?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us a little about that process, starting hot, going in, and then seeing it really ignite over the last few years.
Oh, wow. It's been a whirlwind. It's one of those things where I look at some of the other markets, and I'm originally from St. Louis, and I had a property there that I sold a few years back, and that it was just a steady market. It increased 2 or 3%. And I was in my mind, I was thought, wow, it'd be kind of cool if our market was that way, and you knew what to expect, and you could tell people, hey, seasonally, in the summertime, a lot of people leave, and there's less sales in the summer, which is historically during a normal, quote unquote, normal market that happens here. We get a ton of people coming in January, and they usually stay through, in groups here and there. Some people that have the ability to stay all winter long, they can stay from January till May, and it's like a bell curve here. Our sales, from January start to take off. Usually that second week of January, people are out looking once you get past the holidays and first of the year, and it goes all the way through to the end of May, early June. And June is historically a very high escrow closing period because there's a lot of people that are in the market in March and April, May, and they're putting offers in, and those offers usually close within 35, 40, 50 days. Pardon me. So we get a lot of sales in June, and then our market typically will cut off after that. And with COVID before that, it was starting to, I'd call it a normal market. Before that, it wasn't, things weren't flying off the shelves. Some homes were sitting there for quite a while, and yeah, so I've seen it all. I've seen the quote unquote normal market, and then an increased, really crazy market in 2005, 2006, and then just the flat line where nothing was selling. You couldn't even give away product. It was crazy. There was a lot of people, selling homes with cars, and hey, buy this $2 million home, we'll throw in a Bentley. There was a lot of weird stuff going on, and certainly a lot of sad stuff too. A lot of people losing their homes. It was a very sad time. And then that market started coming back in 2010, 2011, started building up, and then COVID flatlined, and then it shot back up. I was really thinking over last year during COVID, I was like, wow, I wonder if I need to look into another career, because there was 1 month where my phone didn't ring at all, like just nothing. No one was looking, no one was doing anything. They weren't
April.
selling. Yeah, it was crazy. In fact, my business partner at the time, Greg Hayes, and I had one lot in Paradise Valley and a home, I think, in Paradise Valley under contract for a total of probably $3 million. And we had the listings, and both buyers backed out. Luckily, we got them sold like a month or two later after things started picking back up. But we had two buyers back out because of COVID, and they just said, we don't know what's going to happen in the marketplace, which I don't disagree. We didn't. It was a weird time. And then having the market take off the way it did pretty much everywhere across the country, it was like there was this pent up demand to move. And maybe it was just 4 months or 5 months of people just staying in their houses, and maybe some people had planned to move during that time and they couldn't because of COVID. And then it got crazy, and things just took off again. So it's hard. It's definitely a weird market to work in. This market, we are not, and this area, Scottsdale, is basically built on travel, tourism, restaurants. A lot of people come here for vacations. We don't have huge, heavy industry. It's starting to get better. We've got other big corporations that are starting to come in and notice us. The lower tax rates, the livability in the wintertime, the great weather we have here, sunshine, 340 days a year. It's a very uplifting place to live, I feel. And but it's definitely this market, the real estate market. You have to wear different hats, and you always have to be willing to change, because it has, since 2005, I've seen really crazy ups and downs, and this is a crazy up, and it's starting to level off. You can see more inventories coming on, so now is the time to focus on open houses on some of the properties that may sit there a little bit longer, because before and over the last 8 months, you couldn't even do an open house. I mean, you'd list something and it would just sell.
Right.
Or if you had the listing, if I had the listing, of course, I haven't been doing open houses because I haven't had the opportunity. So once I get a listing, I'll hold it open Saturday, Sunday, and it'll sell. And that's it. I got 2 open houses in, where normally I do one every weekend, but you can't because the inventory is so low. So I think now getting that mindset back intact, saying that, hey, some of these homes are going to sit on the market a little bit longer. We're not going to sell in the first week. We might sell in week 4, but over those 4 weeks, do some open houses, get people through it, put your home on tour, try to get, do broker opens. I'm doing a broker open this Thursday. So if anyone wants to come, I can give you the address and everything too. Little plug for my open house.
The address, where is it?
It's in Paradise Valley. It's at Mauna Lucia, which is at Lincoln and Tatum. It's at the Omni Mauna Lucia Hotel Resort. and there's 34 villas there. It's a little guard gated community that's adjacent to the hotel. And I'm having it this Thursday, the 23rd, I think that is, from 4 to 6:30 p.m. And we're going to have wine and cheese, some food. It's a great villa there. It's listed at $3,050,000. 4,800 plus square foot villa, great lock and leave. They're all detached homes. They're not attached. Fee simple ownership. And you get resort privileges. You get discounts on all your goods and services over at the hotel. And it's just a great lock and leave product. And so if there's someone looking for a high-end luxury lock and leave estate home, it's perfect for that. It really is. So I'm having that on Thursday, doing a broker open on Thursday evening. And then that same home I have on our luxury home tour on Friday morning. So I think we have 6 homes on tour, and that's going to be one of the homes on tour on Friday. So that's the type of exposure I'm trying to get my client to get, to get this home sold for them. And those are the things I think you need to do in this business. And it also helps you not only pick up clients at open houses. This is a broker open, so I'll probably see more real estate brokers, more of our colleagues coming through in hopes that they might have a buyer or might jar something in their head to say, hey, I remember John and Sally Smith from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm going to email this to them and say, hey, you are looking for a great lock and leave. Maybe their price point was around $3 million. And that's the hope. They send it to their client. Their client says, hey, I'm coming in next week. I want to come in and see it. And then maybe you get a sale out of it. So those are the things you do to try to bring that business up, and then also get to know your other real estate colleagues. I always try to go to these real estate broker opens. I try to see other broker opens for anybody else that's in my sphere of influence that's doing them, especially in the areas that you want to work. You want to try to stop in to know the product and meet those agents, and then they'll usually reciprocate and they'll come by your broker opens and see your product, and you never know, get a sale out of it. So
Yeah. Well, the broker opens are slightly different, but having the open house to the public, not only do you meet clients, you also are doing, the exposure for your client on their home. Plus,
right.
you're using it as a social, and I know you use social media too. You're using it as a social media outlet, which will not only help your client get top dollar and expose it, but it'll also expose you to that whole group of people as
Right.
you're doing your job and you're professional, right?
Well, and I know the market's flying off the shelf, or it has been over the last 5-6 months. But I did sell 2 properties sales that I represented the seller. I posted on social media on 2 properties and sold them before it even went on the market live. And one of them was a big sale. One was over $3 million this year, and it was an agent that saw my social media post and called me and said, "Hey, I've got a buyer that wants to buy back in that community, and can I come see it?" And she came over and saw it. I probably showed it to 6 people before it actually went live. And right the day that it was going live, they made an offer, and we got it put together. And it was a great transaction. It was based off of just posting it on social media. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, we're right at time here, my man. Any final words you want to leave these wonderful people, Eric?
do open houses, stay out there in public, and keep getting exposed to the inventory that's out there. Anything that comes on and you think you might have a buyer for it, go see it. Set something up with an agent. Try to piggyback on a showing that they're having, and know the inventory and get yourself out there.
All right. Yeah, that's great stuff. Great stuff, Eric. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you very much. Okay. Eric
Thanks for
Heil.
having me, Rick.
Eric Heil
That's
from the
right.
Clearland office. Thanks very much for taking your time out today, my man. Really appreciate it. Everybody else will do this again on Thursday. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. See
Thanks,
you,
Rick.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.